Yo, 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 yo. How we doing? How we doing? Hope everyone is having a great day today. My name is Evan Mendoza. I am your host of another episode of the Mendoza Line. Welcome in. If this is the first time you're ever joining in to the live, make sure to drop the baseball emoji down below in the chat. We are going live. Oh, thank you, my man. Thank you. We are going live every Sunday now. Hopefully that you guys like the new haircut. It's not necessarily a new haircut. It's just a new color. My fiance got me into this. I actually enjoy it. It's a new look. It's enjoyable. So anyway, enough about me. Yeah. So we are gonna be doing here in a moment. P. Shiesty Oak, thanks for joining in for the very first time, guys. This is where I kind of do over some player profiles. Amber, welcome in. McCoy, welcome in. Hey, can you look at the video I sent you? I could, but I'm live right now. The Rockies had me all hyped for a good season. That's just how the Colorado, how they will treat you. But yeah, this is where I do player profiles on my iPad right here. And I will do that for anyone that drops your metrics down below in the chat. And also, if you know your son's metrics, feel free to drop them down below in the chat as well. And we'll be able to go over your current setup, your current situation. And I'll see if I can even help you guys out with understanding like where you're at and things like that. So yeah, if you guys want to, feel free to drop any of your numbers down below in the chat. And that way I'll be able to better assist you guys. But let me just make sure we are good to go. It looks like some of these messages are not being, I don't know why, but this one app that I have to consolidate all of the feeds and the chats, it's not always working. So it is frustrating because I want to make sure that like YouTube, we are live on YouTube, we are live on Instagram as well. So that way I can make it like as easy as possible to get all the chat all in one. But yeah, guys, go ahead and drop your metrics. I'm going to be also working here on my end and doing some work because I need to do that as well. A little bit on the ads side of things. But yeah. We're making interesting. Anyway, but yeah, guys, baseball season is obviously in full swing. So obviously really excited about all of that. So yeah, let me just see what's going on here because we got something. McCoy, I'll do you here in a second. Okay. It looks like. Okay. Cool. All right, McCoy, we'll get you going and we'll record this up and throw it up on IG. McCoy _5. I think McCoy, I don't know why, but I feel like we might have just recently spoke. Let me just make sure my calendar. I feel like your last name is McCoy. I feel like we spoke. Yeah, is it Werney? I'm not sure if that's you, Werney, or not. But let's get into it. Okay, let me record. All right, we have a 2027 right-handed pitcher. 60, unsure. Also doesn't really matter if you're a PO. Arm, don't know, and exit velocity, don't know. So when obviously knowing a little bit more about where we're at, the bottleneck isn't necessarily mechanics, it's not work ethic, it's not recruiting, it's not even development. It's not knowing any of these metrics, right? These metrics are going to help us understand the baseline, right? So this is where you're at now. And let's say fast forward like 3 months, we want to be able to be here. We want to be able to see that progression. But again, if we don't know where we're currently at, this is kind of like we're in a ship, right? In the middle of the sea, right? If we're in the middle of the sea, we don't have a direction on where we're trying to go. We're not going to be able to see the progress that we're making. So again, if we don't know where we're at, which is right here, we don't know where we're trying to go. how can we even determine if we're making any type of progression, right? So not knowing these things is truly your biggest bottleneck. And that's the first thing that I would be focusing on, is trying to go get some resources as far as maybe a local facility. It doesn't take more than like 30 minutes maybe. And then it doesn't take really any time at all to run your 60-yard dash, for example. Your 60-yard dash, for those that don't know, you need to run 60 yards in a straight line and time yourself. Typically around 7 seconds is where you would want to be if you're trying to play college baseball. So I really don't have a ton of guidance for you, because that's why I do these lives. That's why I do these profiles, right? Because I want to understand where you're at and how I can help you. And right now, the only thing I can really help you on is to tell you, you need to know these metrics if you're trying to play college baseball. It is a foundational piece of knowing your development. So as far as a level, I really don't know, and I'm not going to just be blindfolded and tell you one level over another, because we do heavily need to know what these metrics are. All right. Let's get back into it. We'll go one more, and then I actually really need to do some work, guys. But let's go, and we'll do Calvin Baker. Okay, cool. All right, all right, here we got Calvin. We got a 2029 right-handed pitcher, outfielder, with with a fastball velocity of 86. That was infield velocity of 86, 89 from the outfield. Exit velocity off the tee is 84, and 60-yard dash is a 7.1. As far as a level, the big two that's kind of screaming out at me right now is, exit velocity. Arm velocity is actually pretty solid. If we're talking about a 2029, we're talking about a freshman in high school, right-handed pitcher, outfielder, 7.1, really solid. Honestly, my freshman year, I was like a 9-second 60, so you're already in the conversation where you want to be junior and senior year. Now, yes, you might be a little bit smaller than the rest of the competition. Freshman year, you maybe haven't hit that full growth spurt, but stick around that 7 seconds, if not dip below, and that's only going to help you out. Now, the thing that I don't understand really is because the rotational aspect of throwing and hitting should be somewhat transferable. And as we can see, you're throwing 86 off the mound, 89 from the outfield. That means you're doing something right as far as your arm. But as far as translating that rotation into our hitting, there's a disconnect. 84 off the tee, it is pretty low in my opinion. I mean, as a freshman, it's not terrible. It's low compared to your arm velo, right? So if you were a junior and you had this arm velocity, I would say good job. You're right there. But if you had this exit velocity as a junior, I'd say you want to be probably closer to anywhere around maybe 96 plus off of the tee with a wood bat. Now, yes, you are a freshman. I'm taking that into account. So if we can figure out this guy, and of course, if we still want to be an outfielder at the college level, or maybe we want to be a two-way player, that's going to be helpful as well. But let's just say we're a right-handed pitcher. We're a PO. We're throwing about 86 right now as a freshman. We project around junior, senior year to maybe be around 92. That would be awesome. You mentioned 86 off the mound right now. Yeah. But if we can get to 92 around that junior, senior year, that's going to be in the conversation for D1, in my opinion. Let me know if you agree down below in the comments. All right. Like I said, I'm going to do a little bit of work, guys. Keep the conversation going, though. We got Wheeler. We got a 2028 outfielder. I'll do you here in a second. Ben, I'll do the same with you here in a second. But I do need to mess up my ads a little bit because that is something that I do really need to do. For those that don't know, I am trying to heavily just focus on working with 2027s and 2028s currently. And, of course, that can work sometimes and sometimes not so much. I just actually had a client case study interview, though, and very interesting. Some insights, though. So the insights that I thought were just interesting is I asked this senior who is cut from his high school team, basically, when's the perfect time to join into my program? And I think it was a pretty insightful answer that he gave me because he was a senior that he started with me. And he said he wished that he started working with me freshman year. And I just thought that was really interesting, right? So, yeah, I mean, that's just something that I think will, help everyone out. if you have that understanding. But let me okay, and cool. For those that don't know, is throwing 70 at 7th grade good? Yeah, it's not terrible. So I remember like ninth grade, I was around like 75. And yeah, it's definitely good. If you can get in the 80s around freshman or sophomore year is kind of like that baseline of where we would want to be ideally to play at the next level. All right, all right, all right. Yo, one more after Calvin, please. I was the next. Yeah, I will. I'm just finishing up some work, guys. But yeah, I'll get everyone that has put your metrics in the chat. You just have to give me a couple of minutes because I do need to finish up some work. But yeah, guys, I will get everyone that's put their metrics in. You just have to give me some time. All right, all right, all right. All right, all right, all right. Yo, what up, Nate? How we doing? How we doing? All right, Ben, I'm going to get to everyone that put their metrics down below in the chat. Again, guys, if you want me to do a player profile, just give me a second, and I will do that here shortly. All right, all right, all right. Let's get into it. All right. All right, we got Will. I think I did Calvin, right? Yeah, I did Calvin. Okay, we'll do Will next. Will, hopefully you're still in here, my man. I appreciate your patience. Here. 23. All right, let's get it. All right, we got Will, who is a 2030 shortstop, 7'1", 60, 76 arm, and 91 exit velocity. What level? So 2030, we are talking about an 8th grader, right? 8th grade, very much a lot of time to be able to make progressions, right? I will say you're already playing a primetime position. That means you're probably somewhat of a baller, which is always good to hear. 7.1, you're right in the range. Of course, as we progress around sophomore, junior year, we're going to add more muscle, which is going to make it harder for us to run faster. But ideally, if we can get sub 7 seconds, that's going to be ideal around, freshman, sophomore year, which is still a couple of years down the road. As far as your arm velocity, 76 as an 8th grader, don't push that too much, right? 76, in my opinion, even as a freshman, is great. So don't necessarily try to expedite that too much. You're already right where you need to be, in my opinion. 91 exit velocity, in my opinion, as an 8th grader is awesome, dude. Just keep that up. If we can get 95 off of machine BP or maybe coach BP off of a hit tracks, in, maybe the next year by your freshman year, that's going to be awesome for you, dude, because that's going to help you label yourself as a primetime developer, meaning you developed your skills at an early age to be able to play at that next level. So in my opinion, dude, if you keep progressing these things, like 76 8th grade year, let's just say like 79 freshman year, 84, sophomore year, 87 junior year, and then maybe like 91 by senior year, that would be awesome. And again, if you're a shortstop throwing 98 miles an hour across the diamond, that's definitely going to help you out. And also, if we're progressing closer to like 100 miles an hour by senior year, that's like 4 years down the road. That's going to help us put ourselves in that conversation to play D1. Let me know if you agree down below in the comments. Awesome work, Will. Awesome work. Let's do one more. Actually, let me just finish up a little bit of this work that just loaded up. All right. All right. Maury is a 2026. Let's go. Awesome. I will need some more details to be able to help. Okay, Caleb, I'm going to do you here in a second. Let me just finish up some of this work. Let me just see what's going on here. Okay. Just give me a second. Just 1 second, guys. Come on. Alaric, I'm going to go ahead and do you here in a second. I'm just getting up, finishing up some work with some ads that I'm finishing up. If you guys ever see my ads, click through on them. Not necessarily the players, though. All right. Just give me 1 second. Cool. All right. As we're loading that up, we'll do one more. Okay. All right. We will do, let's see who I left off with. It looks like Mateo. DAQ. Where'd you go? 45. Mateo DAQ. Okay, cool. All right, let's go ahead and record for Mateo. All right, we got Mateo, who is a 2029 first base right-handed pitcher, 7'9", 60, 88 fastball velocity, 90, I think, from the outfield, it looks like, or 90, I don't know, or 90 from the first base velo, 97 exit velocity. I gotcha. So, yeah, if we're throwing 88 off the mound as a 2029, that's incredible. We are talking about a freshman here. 2029 is our freshman, first base, right-handed pitcher. These numbers are great. The only one area that, like, if we can get our athleticism up, that's going to be great. But honestly, like with these two, these are pulling the weight so much. These are checking you off big time, especially with these college coaches. If you can verify these data with, highlight videos and radar guns associated with that, that's going to be huge for you, especially since you're so young. So a lot of people will think and tell me like August 1st is when recruiting starts. But if you're a 2029, you're in your freshman year, you still have sophomore year. These are what I like to refer to as leverage years because you're already so much more developed than your average typical freshman or sophomore even. So we're at 2029. We're better than probably like 95% of even sophomores out there. So why not reach out to these college coaches and really take care of the recruiting side of things because these college coaches will, without a doubt, have a pipeline that they're building. And you need to understand that this pipeline, we need to get in front of these college coaches sooner than later. So if you're doing the recruiting stuff right, you're leveraging these numbers that are well above your average freshman in high school. This is where if we continue to progress in these areas, you have no reason to believe that, or I have no reason to believe that you can't play D1 baseball. All right. Like I said, guys, I got to do a little bit more work. I know. I'm going to get back to it, though. I'm going to get back to it. All right. 'Give me like 2 minutes, guys, and I will be right back with doing some more. You do have to be patient with me. I used to do these lives every single day, and that's the reason why I'm not doing them anymore, because there's a lot of players that obviously wanted me to do this, right? And now we're just doing it once a week, and I've been loving it. You guys also have been really liking the content that we've been posting, so I'm going to keep doing these player profiles as long as you guys enjoy me doing them. There's no reason why I would stop something that's good, and especially if you guys think that they're interesting, then like, yeah, I'm going to do a breakdown on where you're at. I think it only helps you understand like what you need to work on and what you could be focusing on. So yeah, we're almost back to it. Okay, I guess not. We don't. Yeah, we can do that. Grad. Position. EV. 60. Arm. Level. All right, we'll get back into it here in a second. Okay, good. All right, so that was Mateo. What does 60 mean? So 60 yards, quite literally, you start here, you run 60 yards. You can find a football field with turf on it, and basically what you're trying to do is from start to finish, run like ideally sub 7 seconds, right? So basically the time that it takes you to run that 60 yards, that's what the 60-yard dash is. Don't ask me why, but basically 60 yards, I guess if you think about it, is from home, to second in a double, but of course that has an angle to it, so it is a little bit different. We'll do Ben right now. Ben Vides 08. All right, let's get it. All right, we got Ben, who is a 2031 pitcher, catcher, shortstop, 696, 66 to 70. I believe that's arm velocity. And then 87 eggs velocity. So what level? Okay, so I'm not even going to put a level. I'm not going to disappoint you guys, I hope. But we are a 2031. So we're in 7th grade, guys. We're halfway to our senior year, right? So I don't want to put any type of projections. I don't think that's fair to Ben or any 7th graders. One thing I would focus on, though. So when we put too many positions out there, what that typically do with these college coaches, and again, we're talking about a 7th grader. I love that you want to play multiple positions, but being more specific into one position will actually help you out in the long run. So I would prefer you be more of just like a pitcher and a shortstop. If you're a catcher and you love catching, then be a catcher and a shortstop or a catcher and a pitcher. But ultimately, have fewer positions, because when you start labeling yourself as so many different positions, you spread yourself thin as like labeling yourself as having one quality position. Now, as far as 87 eggs velocity, dude, if you can verify that in video, that's going to help you out tremendously. 696, you're already below 7 seconds on a 60 time. That's great. Your arm velocity, I'm not too focused on it. You're in 7th grade, dude, so I'm not going to give you a label for a level in particular, but I would just say keep on working hard, have fun within the game, enjoy travel ball, enjoy the teams that you're playing on, make some great friends, and let me know if you guys agree down below in the comments. All right. We'll do one more. Wheeler. Funny thing is, guys, this is something that I used to do way back in the day. I used to do swing breakdowns for anyone that really asked me to do swing breakdowns. So it's always good. All right. All right, we got Wheeler, who is a 2028 outfielder, left-handed pitcher, 7.160 with an 86 off the mound and 90 miles an hour off the tee. All right, cool. What level? So in my opinion, 2028, we're talking about a sophomore here, outfielder, left-handed pitcher, 90 miles an hour off the tee. It's nothing super crazy. Of course, we can try projecting that out closer to like 95 by senior year, which is a couple years down the road. 7.1 second 60. As an outfielder, we would want that to be tracking down closer to like, if we can, especially if we're talking about not just an outfielder, but like really a center fielder, that was a C. But if we're talking about a center fielder, we do want to get in like the mid 6 seconds if we're trying to be in that athletic position like center field. If we're playing left field or right field, it doesn't matter as much, but still, you know, you're at a 7.160. That's really great in my opinion. I wasn't anywhere close to that my sophomore year. Now, 86 arm velocity, especially if that's outfield or left-handed pitcher, like if you're on the mound throwing 86, dude, this is where we had a Friday night ace throwing 86 miles an hour. He was also 5'10", about 150 pounds, and he was our ace at NC State at the Division I level in the ACC, and he was throwing 86 as a left-handed pitcher. So in my opinion, there's no reason to say that you couldn't be the next D1 pitcher throwing 86 miles an hour as well. As far as understanding how to pitch, there's so many different variables that we can't go over in this short video. But in my opinion, like just from the basis of like knowing that not every obviously 86 mile an hour southpaw is going to be playing at that Division I level, I would pretty confidently say D2 based off of where some of these numbers are at around that sophomore year. So let me know if you agree down below in the comments. All right, all right, all right. Got to do a tiny little bit more of work, and then we'll just keep on keeping on. Looks like we got Caleb next. Caleb, if you're still in here, that'd be awesome. Caleb Wader 20. All right, all right, all right. And next up, yeah, like I said, Caleb's going to be next. And we will be on our way here in 1 minute. Cool. All right. We'll do Caleb right now. All right, we got Caleb, who is a 2030. Also, great job on the username. Middle infielder. 60 is a 7.9. Arm velocity is 70. And exit velocity is 75 off of the tee. So where are we at? 2030. We're talking about an 8th grader, guys. We have 4 years to develop. So I want to keep that extremely clear. I don't want to necessarily put a huge label on like a certain level, for example, but let's talk about it. Middle infield tells me that you're an athletic enough player that you're playing an athletic type position. Exit velocity is 75 miles an hour. We haven't necessarily like gotten through like a huge maybe growth spurt yet, I would assume, because if we had, ideally that would be like, again, like as of 2030, it's really hard to project, especially considering around my 8th grade year, we didn't have things like exit velocity or arm velocity. My arm velocity maybe was like around like 70. So like, in my opinion, I think you're fine with the arm velocity. I wouldn't rush that and hurt yourself or anything like that. As far as your 60 time, in my opinion, I was way slower than a 7.9 my 8th grade year. So like, in my opinion, keep on working with your glove, work on your defense, be that great player. As far as a level, like who really knows, in my opinion, right? In 8th grade year, there's so much time for you to develop. Yes, it's important to develop the right way sooner, but you also have a good amount of a timeline to develop into a D1 caliber player or a D3 caliber player, depending on how these next couple of years really shape out. If you are ultra focused, ultra serious about your development, your recruiting, your mindset on how you're going to be doing some of these work or some of the work and taking care of that work ethic, then yeah, play D1 baseball because it's an obvious choice, right? Based off of your actions. Guys, at the end of the day, all our actions are basically leading us into the direction of where we're supposed to play, right? You're not supposed to play D3 baseball when you were born. The reason that you play D3 baseball is based off the choices you make between usually like 6th grade and 11th grade, really. And of course, what you prioritize in those years. The players that are playing D1 baseball or get drafted out of high school, they prioritize a completely different things from those D3 players. So as far as a level, I don't know. It's all about prioritizing what you prioritize here in the next couple of years. Let me know if you agree. All right, that was Caleb. We'll do Amari. All right, 2026. Let me just make sure I did everything right over here. All right. Let's get it. All right, let's go over Amari, who's a 2026. He's an outfielder. 60 is a 6.3, which is awesome. Arm velocity is 93. Exit velocity is 95. So in my opinion, dude, you're 2026. It's late in the game right now. We're talking about like 2 or 3 months until graduation, which is not a lot of time. You're an outfielder, which ideally your 60 time needs to be good, which it is. Check mark. Arm velocity from the outfield, you already have that momentum going for you. So 93, that's definitely good as well. Exit velocity, if that's off the tee, also, that's also good as well. So my big question for you, especially since your develop is correct, right? It's checking the boxes. What about on the recruiting side? We don't know what's going on. Are we reaching out to college coaches? Are we having conversations with college coaches? What about our mindset, right? What about our mindset? If we're throwing our helmet after strikeouts, yeah, college coaches are probably not going to want to recruit you, right? So like, yes, you can have the best numbers, and believe it or not, even another area that we can talk about, GPA, right? I've seen once before, it was the craziest thing. It was my sophomore year of high school in Sarasota. There was a guy throwing 95 miles an hour as a sophomore. He was in the same grade as me. And he, no joke, I remember this like it was yesterday. He had a 0.5 GPA. And I promise you guys, you have to try to get a 0.5 GPA. He actually later dropped out of high school, like later, a couple months after I found that out. So that was like in the fall before the season even started, which was ridiculous. But of course, like, yes, you can check all the boxes on the development side, but there's so much more to the picture that these college coaches are imagining on if you're a right fit for that specific university. So what are you doing on recruiting? Are you reaching out to college coaches? What about the mindset? What about the GPA? These are all things that dictate that. As far as your development side of things go, like, this is where, in my opinion, you should have gone D1 or D2. Of course, how we translate that development into games and performance matters the most, especially on if we're able to deliver when it matters the most, when college coaches are reaching out and also watching us play at a specific game, maybe travel ball tournament, whatever the case may be, showcase or camp. These are the times that matter because you do have to shine under the lights at some point in your career. Let me know if you agree. All right, that was Amari. I joined just as you finished. Can you sum up in what you said? So, Will, I recorded it, and I'm going to be posting it up as a reel here shortly. A lyric. We're going to be doing a lyric. Bombs next. All right. All right, Alaric, he's a 2028 outfielder who has a 6.960. We got an arm velocity of 81 and an exit velocity of 87. So what level? So we're talking about a sophomore here who plays outfield, 87 exit velocity. In my opinion, that's okay. It's not necessarily fully checking the box, but of course, if we can get that closer to 90, that will do the trick. 6.960, we're already in the conversation, especially our sophomore year, of being a little bit more of an athletic player. If we want to be a center fielder at that college level, yes, we want to get that down ideally by junior or senior year, closer to maybe a 6.5 or so. Of course, that is blazing quick, but again, Division I, Power 4 schools are looking for blazing quick center fielders that can cover ground. That's just how the world works. As far as your arm velocity, from the outfield, ideally, the big number that you're going to be chasing for a decent amount of time, if you don't actually get the resources, is 90 miles an hour from the outfield. You do have the curl hop, you do have the momentum, right? So you are a sophomore, so you do have time to get to that 90 miles an hour. If we can get to 90 miles an hour around junior year and maybe 94, that's going to really help us put ourselves in the conversation, play D1. As far as with where we're at right now with some of these numbers right here, around sophomore years, I have seen some sophomores and especially even some freshmen that have an exit velocity of 97. So, bat isn't necessarily something that super sticks out. Your 60 time isn't something that really sticks out right now. Your arm velocity, it's okay. I would say it's a little bit above average for most sophomores in the country. So in my opinion, when you were talking about more average players, that's where we're talking about more D2, in my opinion, D3, probably leaning towards closer to D3 right now. But of course, can we project closer to, these numbers? Because if we get closer to those numbers and, 95 plus exit velocity, that's where we're going to be even tracking towards D2 or D1. Let me know if you agree down below in the comments. All right. How we been doing, guys? How we been doing? We've been doing good. Hopefully we've been doing good. Ugh. I believe Mateo, I already did you. Wheeler, I already did you. I think Wheeler was the last one I did, actually, maybe. Alaric, no, I did. Could you sum up? Mari, Alaric, Wheeler. A lot of you guys like copied and pasted the same ones. Could you just sum up? Caleb, Alaric. Maybe I zoomed up on accident. All right. If you guys want me to do yours, just re-put it into the caption and everything. I see Jason here. So, Jace, how we doing, my man? Hope you're doing well. Looking forward to our onboarding call, dude. Also, great job on the username, Jace. If you ever want like social media talk or help or anything like that, Jace, just hit me up. Let me know. All right, we got Jace 2020. All right, we got Jace, who's a 2030 catcher shortstop. Exit velocity around 88. 60 is a 6.8. And an arm velocity of 81. What level? So if we're talking about a 30, this is an 8th grader. Catcher, shortstop, primary positions. That's actually pretty solid. I love athletes that play shortstop. I also love being a good quality catcher. That's always going to be something that coaches will always value. Exit velocity 88 as an 8th grader. That's awesome in my opinion. When you start developing your muscles, your growth spurts, things like that, when we get closer to like 95, that's going to be real talk. So I'm excited for what that's going to come and when that's going to come for you, in particular your freshman year potentially. 6.8, we're already below 7 seconds. Now, I do want to put a point of reference for those young athletes that are already pretty light. We're talking about 8th graders that might be weighing around 100 and 120 pounds, right? It's going to be easier for you to run a fast 60-yard dash. Now, when we're talking about a 200-pound grown man, it's going to be a little bit harder, right? You're going to be a grown man before you know it in a blink of an eye when you're in your junior year weighing them out about like 170 pounds, right? Can you keep up with that 6.8? I hope so. If not, get it quicker, closer to like maybe a 6.5. That's going to really help you put in that conversation of shortstop and probably exclude you a little bit from catcher, right? Because catchers aren't necessarily notorious for being a quick runner. As far as your arm velocity, 81 as an 8th grader is awesome. I think I crossed over to 80 miles an hour around midway through sophomore year, right? So it took me some time. So you're well above the curve. As far as where we're projecting out, right? In our 8th grade year, these are some of the numbers. Keep progressing in all of these departments. Of course, keep performing. Take care of your skill work. Make sure that you're adjusting to velocity. You have good mechanics. Of course, you put yourself out there with college coaches in these next couple of years. In my opinion, you should have no problem going D1 if you have the work ethic. I'm not going to say that you do because I don't know you, right? But of course, if you do and you take these next 3 years, if not necessarily the next 2 years, extremely seriously, that's where you can really make an impact with your 60 time, really make an impact throwing close to 90 miles an hour, let's say your sophomore year. That's really going to help you put yourself on the map. If you can get that exit velocity close to 97 maybe, again, it's going to really get your foot in the door and help with these conversations with college coaches. So hopefully that helps. Let me know if you agree down below in the comments. All right, we're going to do JJ. I hope that you are here still. I appreciate all you guys. And if you guys want me to, do a player profile, just put your metrics down below. I'm going to do a couple more before finishing up here in the next like 5 minutes or so. So, yeah, JJ. All right, we got JJ. All right, we got JJ who, why you got to do that? Why you got to do that, man? All right, we got JJ who's a 2029. It looks like we have a third baseman. Exit velocity is 87. 79 arm velocity with a 6.960. What level does JJ play at? So if we're talking about a freshman third baseman, 87 exit velocity, pretty solid in my opinion. 6.960, we're already sub 760, which is awesome. 79 arm velocity, could that be improved? Yes, but are we going to rush that where we could potentially get hurt? No, right? So let's just play these out as far as projections, right? Because if we're at 2029, that means sophomore years over here. We got junior year right here, and then we want to be senior year. So where do we want to be in that senior year? Let's talk about that. So as far as exit velocity, ideally we want to be like probably 97 plus, especially since we're a third baseman. We do have to have that power component. As far as 60 time, like in my opinion, if you're still at a 6.9 your senior year, that's not the biggest issue because third basemen are a little bit bigger, a little bit huskier, can provide that power, not only on the swing, but also in the arm as well. So if we can get that arm velocity close to maybe, 87, 88, let's just say, around that senior year. So now let's backtrack some of these numbers, right? So if we're at 97 our senior year, can we get to 93 our junior year? Can we get to 91 our sophomore year? This could be the path that you can get to where you want to go. Now, as far as 6'9", of course, if we can get like the same and just stay consistent and stay athletic as we're gaining weight, that's going to be the hardest thing. Mobility is going to be your best friend through that process. Now, 79, if we can get to like 82, and then like 86, and then 87, now that becomes a lot more real. So now if we're getting into these conversations on the metrics, the core raw strength in some of these areas, that's where you're looking at more like a D1, D2 type prospect, right? With where you're currently at right now, I'm not going to say that you're going to go play D1, right? Because a lot can happen between your freshman year and your senior year. Let me know if you agree down below in the comments, and comment the word college if you want to learn one-on-one with me. All right. All right, Tyler, we'll do you, and Nate, those are going to be the last two, and then we will sign off for the rest of the night. Okay, so Tyler. All right, we got Tyler, who's a 2027 middle infield right-handed pitcher, 6.660. We got an 82 infield velocity, 88 from the outfield. Let's go. 86 from the mound, and then 96 exit velocity. Okay, cool. So around like 86 for the arm velocity. But anyway, what level? 2027. We're talking about a junior. So this is the time where, of course, we can start comparing ourselves to those 2025s really at specific programs. What kind of numbers did they have their senior year of high school? And of course, that's where we want to be next year. So we got a middle infielder, right-handed pitcher. That's exactly where you want to be playing in high school. Let's be honest. That's where the athletes are playing. You got 96 exit velocity. That checks. 6.660, that checks. Around 86 arm velocity, that checks as well, especially if you're going to be a middle infielder. 88, I think you said, from the outfield, that checks, of course. If we can get these numbers, like it's not that big of a jump, right? I've seen players that throw 87 miles an hour across the diamond, go D1. You can also throw 94 from the outfield and go D2, for example, right? Depends on how these other numbers stack up. But honestly, your power component on your exit velocity is great. Your 6.660 is great as well. So it tells me you're a pretty athletic player. How are we performing in front of these college coaches? Since we are a junior, are we doing anything on the recruiting process? Are we reaching out to these college coaches via email? Are we putting ourselves out there? Are we making ourselves known? Or I speak to hundreds of families, or are we just completely invisible to these college coaches? If you're invisible, it does not matter what you're doing here if these college coaches don't know about you. So if we're doing all of these things right, we're also getting structured workouts, in the gym, right? That's going to help progress these numbers where they should be, and of course help translate that power from the gym into the field. That's where, in my opinion, you can go D1, T2. Depends on, again, the big area of recruiting. If we're not putting ourselves out there, we're going to be invisible. Let me know if you agree down below in the comments, and if you don't want to be invisible, comment the word college down below to get started. All right, last one is going to be Nate. Oh, did Jared get in front of you? If Jared got in front of you, my man, I'm going to have to do Jared first. I don't know if Jared did. I think Jared did, unfortunately. I hate to blue ball you, Nate, but yeah, Jared beat you to it. This is going to be the last one. Of course, we're going to do more lives. So this isn't going to be the last one. Don't get your panties in a wad, guys. I'm one person with an iPad and a computer, okay? So I hope you guys don't sue me. I'm watching Suits now. Everyone sues everyone. That's what I'm learning. All right, we got Jared, who is a 2020. Okay. We got Jared, who is a 2028 corner infielder. Why can I not write? We got Jared, who's a 2028 corner infielder. And he's also 6'2". Always good to know. 223. Big body. Let's go. 7.460. Big body bends. 98 eggs velocity. And an 84 arm. Okay, cool. So when we're talking about a big body guy, right? Corner infielder, we need to have that bopper effect, right? Which we do. 60 time, not as important. If we can get down to like a 7 flat, that's going to be helpful. I actually ran my very best 60-yard dash my senior year at a 7.4, and I played many years of shortstop in professional baseball with the Cardinals and Padres. So the 60-yard dash isn't the most important thing as long as you have great first step quickness, lateral quickness. These are things that matter a lot more. Now, 84, in my opinion, a tad low, especially for the power you're showcasing in your exit velocity. These should be somewhat translatable skills, right? We're rotating and throwing. We're also rotating and hitting. So 98, like in my opinion, we should be probably closer to like 88 in my opinion. If we are around that sophomore season, we, of course, also, I don't know if this is across the diamond. I would assume so. And especially if we already have that really strong physical built frame, this is where, of course, this is going to be attractive to college coaches. This is going to be attractive. And if we can get to that, you're going to be a unicorn for these college coaches that ideally we can play at that D1 level. The biggest thing is when we're at 2028, we're a sophomore. This is a leverage year. A leverage, guys, for those that don't know, you have a fulcrum in the middle. You got weight over here and weight over here. Ideally, your freshman and sophomore year, dude, Jared, if you're 6'2", 220, you're already physically absolutely built. These college coaches are going to love athletes that look good in a uniform. Without even seeing you, I feel like you're going to pass the eye test. And if you guys don't know what the eye test is, it's basically how well you fill out the uniform. So in my opinion, dude, you're 2028, you're a sophomore. Next year when you're a junior, you're not going to necessarily be able to say, hey, my sophomore year, I was 6'2", 220, right? There might be some sophomores that turn into absolute beasts of a junior where they're now 6'1", 210, and it's not that big of a comparison, right? So ideally, we want to use these things as leverage, especially when we're talking about recruiting, especially when reaching out to these college coaches. So if you guys are looking for some additional help in reaching out to these college coaches, making sure that we're not invisible, and also developing like a pro while doing it, comment the word college down below to get started. About to bleach my hair. Dylan, how we doing, my man? How we doing? I'm actually just finishing up. We just did a ton of player profiles. This has been a ton of fun, but I think I probably knocked out like 10 or 15 for you guys. Had a lot of fun today. JJ, if you guys are looking for some of those resources, you can DM me the word college, and I'm going to send over some resources so that way you guys can know what's good. But yeah, guys, there was a ton of comments today, a ton of people that wanted player profiles. I'm sorry that I couldn't do everybody, but that's why I'm going to be doing lives every Sunday night as long as I can, and make them a little bit more strategic, I guess you can call it, where I just want to make sure that like you guys are getting value from this, right? I don't want to be doing these lives if you guys don't, find value in them. But of course, be on the lookout for the reels that I'm posting as far as these player profiles. Guys, you guys have been engaging like crazy, by the way, with these profiles on the reels because I'm recording some of them as well. If you, and this is my only ask for like the 5 people that are still with us, if you ever see one of these player profiles, it takes you 1 millisecond to like that video. So go ahead and just like it whenever you see one of those come across your page. And of course, if I've done, for example, Jared, if I just did you, you're still here with me. Whenever you see this one that is done for you, throw it up on your Instagram story. What's the worst thing that could happen? If anything, it just gives a better insight on like what's going on in your baseball career. If you don't want to, you don't have to, but it takes 2 milliseconds to like our videos, and that goes for any videos that we're posting. So guys, it's been a pleasure. I love doing this with you guys, and I will see you on the next one.
See how he became more confident after talking to you every time. You are always there when he needs. I think it's really important to know or be told from someone professional like you.
Which is a completely